And we are live. Let me get this all set up. Hold on a second. There we go. There we go. All right. So, all set up. And let's move you over just a second. Let's move you on over. Actually, let me shrink it down just a little bit. That should be good. All right. So today we're going to be doing the mock draft 2.0. This is going to be after free agency. So yeah, there will be some more stuff that'll come out. Obviously, there's still some QBs that are out there. There's still some potential trades that haven't happened yet that could even happen on draft night. Talking about like the AJ Brown situation, all that kind of stuff. I think the AJ Brown situation is really going to be actually after June 1st, if I remember correctly. I've done some research into it because I know the main people who are looking at AJ Brown potentially is the Rams and the Patriots. I think that it would be a post June 1 because I think like the money wise is better for the Eagles to trade him post June 1. So maybe that might be the case. I don't know. Still trying to look into that. I know there's that rumor, the rumor of who the next quarterback, the QB2 is going to be and when he's going to be picked. I'm assuming Ty Simpson, but when he's going to be picked, I don't know. That one it's kind of made me like kind of up in the air, like who I think is going to be taken. But for right now, this is my mock draft 2.0. I'll have my last mock draft a week before the draft starts. So look forward to that. And obviously, they're going to be streaming the draft as usual. This is the third year in a row doing it with Luke. So we'll be streaming together the first and the second night. And then I'm considering if I want to do the third night. I don't think I will, but there's always a chance I could because I'll be off. But I'm mulling over if I want to do just like make Panther videos of said players on Sundays. I have some time to kind of think about the position they're in. That's what I want to end up doing. So up there, Emmanuel, how you doing? Have it on right here. I think it's gonna be pure cinema as well. So I'm having it on in the background while I'm doing this video. I was watching the bracketology first, like seeing. I didn't think Auburn's going to get in. I was very happy that they didn't. And as an Auburn fan, I know I'm supposed to be talking about the NFL mock draft right now, but I would do a Section Madness, sure. But so all the Auburn fans are saying we deserve to be in. I don't think so. You can argue all you want to with Miami, Ohio, whatever. I don't care. Miami, Ohio, sure, their schedule wasn't great. Ours was one of the best, but we didn't win the games we needed to. So again, if you don't win the games you need to, you don't deserve to be in. So that's plain and simple. And honestly, I'm glad that ESPN, obviously, so Bruce Pearl and everything he's saying for CBS, but I'm glad that ESPN didn't really go down when I was watching it. Sometimes I kind of turned it off while I was doing this other stuff. But I'm glad they didn't really talk about the fact of Auburn should have really gotten in because I don't think we should have. I don't. So I'm glad about that. Auburn fans, wait, sorry. I don't know what it is. It's doing this. I don't know. Anyways, it is what it is. I'm glad we're out of it. And so, to all the Auburn fans who are complaining, why in the world are we basically trying to speak into existence us going to the March Madness, and they complain about that, but then we want to call out Alabama trying to get their player back to play in the college ranks? I think it's very hypocritical of just trying to bend the rules, try to make it to where it works for us. Just saying. Now let's go into actual mock draft. Starting off, I'm excited for. I'm going to do this about PFF rankings. I like their ranking. I like their board a little bit better than PFSN. I'm going to try to see if I can get some snippets of a video and make a video talking about Pittsburgh and where to go. Maybe that video might do well, and then it'll basically just post where I want to do some videos talking about like some of the NFC South teams and like their destination. But starting off the draft, the reason why I'm also using this mock draft sim target, obviously looking at quarterback, you already know they're going to take Fernando Mendoza. I don't really have to go that deep into that. But as far as like who else they can go after, like I think later on in the draft, obviously not a great running back class, but they can definitely take a backup running back, especially for Ashton Genty, because like, I mean, I'm okay with Dylan Lobby, but I'm not like biggest fan of him. But this wide receiver room needs some help desperately, and I think that's going to be the round two. I think the top round two potentially taking a wide receiver. Um, and it depends. Like I said, I think that if there is a possibility they can get Omar Cooper Jr., they would get him. If they try to get Elijah Sherrod, I don't hate it, but I do think that like Jack Beck can play that kind of role. But I mean, obviously Elijah Sherrod is better. But offensive line, they still need help, especially in this as your right tackle. I hate DJ Glaze. I'm sorry. I know his cool name, DJ Glaze, but I do not like him. I think that they need to get better. Obviously, they were hoping they could have gotten that with the Max Crosby trade, but however, they don't have that pick anymore, pick 14. So potentially at the top of the second round. But I'm not going to go too deep into it. We already know they're going to take Fernando Mendoza. It's a done deal. It would be the craziest thing ever if the Raiders decide, no, we're not going to do that. So take him Mendoza. I don't think anybody's going to be too much about that. Let's see here. I don't know why it is doing that. Sorry, there, Emmanuel. I don't know why it's doing that, but it is. Okay, so let's see here. We don't have a first rounder. Can you touch on the Falcons free agency class? Yes, hated the moment, but it's grown on me in time. I just realized we kept D. Alford. Yes, starting nickel. You guys said D. Starting nickel. Yeah. Oh, let me go. Let me do that. So I kind of talked about it last video, but like I said, I know that they don't really have anybody to draft because they're definitely not going to trade up. I don't think so. If I had to guess, I don't think they're going to trade for anybody. I do like I do like that you got Tua, even though I'm not a big believer in Tua. I think that it's pretty much his evaluation time. Like Tua's going to have the off season because, like I said, Michael Penix still coming on back, but this is not Tua's last straw. But this is a way for Tua, like potentially, if he does well in the off season, and he starts in the first couple of games because I don't remember when Michael Penix is supposed to be coming back. I know it's like close to start of season, but it might be like week 6. Just be on the safe side. But if Tua starts the season well, like, are you going to go with the hot hand potentially? And if Tua does well, he can play himself into getting potentially not like a big contract. He's never going to get that big contract again. I don't want to say never, but more likely not. But he could potentially like serve himself well and like in the free agency market be able to get a better contract somewhere else. Corey Levin, is it Levine or Levin? I don't really know much about him. Chris Williams, I'm not very familiar with either. Shane Tindall, I do think that's a solid signing. I think that's good. That's a good linebacker depth because you definitely need to since we're losing Kaden Ellis. That's another one that hates to leave. He's going back to New Orleans. That sucks for y'all. Jahan Dotson, I'm not too high on, but like I said, you just needed some kind of wide receiver depth because you were losing your wide receivers because like at like pretty much like the beginning of free agency, you knew you were going to lose your other 2 wide receivers, so you were going to be losing Darnell Mooney and whatnot, and all you had was like besides Drake London was like Dante Sills and who's the other person? There's somebody else, but you got Sakis as well, which we'll talk about in just a second. Jay Bailey, I think he's a decent punter. Austin Hooper, bring him back, so I say getting some tight end depth. He's been okay, but he hasn't really been the best. Now this right here, Nick Folk. Okay, I know that maybe like for some people who are not paying attention to the South, who don't pay attention to the Atlanta Falcons, they don't really know. But kicking has been one of the worst things for the Falcons for the last couple of years. So, if you're telling me that you can get one of the most accurate kickers the last 3 years. If you look up his stats, if you look up Nick Foles' stats, yes, you can say the fact like, oh well, it was for Tennessee Titans the 2 years, then it was for I think was it for the Jets. I don't care. He has been consistent, and that's what you need. You're in a dome, makes it a whole lot easier on his 41-year-old self. But Nick Foles, the last 3 years, has been one of the most accurate kickers. So I love that signing. I love Zane Gonzalez. I'm glad he got a deal down in Miami, but I absolutely love this pick up for the Falcons. Like I said, Christian Harris. I've asked Luke about this because Luke loved Christian Harris, but then Hiri Totoa kind of like took over. I think it's just pretty much just like Hiri Totoa and Al Shire just pretty much just were the starters, and so Christian Harris is kind of like odd man out. He's been good, but like I, I think he's a good, solid linebacker depth that could potentially, keyword potentially, get into the starting lineup. But I like Christian Harris coming out, but like I said, I think he just got buried underneath the depth charts. Like the Texans defense is amazing. Um, don't really know much about London. Don't know much about Cameron Thomas. We did not. They didn't talk about what? That's weird. That is really weird. They didn't talk about Zacchaeus. Yeah, so for some reason it's talking about Zacchaeus, but I love y'all got Zacchaeus back. I mean, not much, but like if you're looking at the Falcons, you could potentially go in the draft for your wide receiver too if you don't feel that great about Dotson, or you could just be like, we'll just see how Dotson does for 1 year, and then we'll go wide receiver next year. So again, I like what the Falcons. I think you had the third best free agency. I think like obviously I think the Panthers did an amazing job. Um, um, Wilkes responded to the see. That's why I hate that I cannot see this. So I do like that hire. Hopefully he's able to kind of get you out of the situation that you're in. Son of Foster of Zane only missed one because of him. Um, yeah, like I said, I like it for the most part. I do hate the fact. Well, I hate for your sake that Algier left, but he's gonna try to find himself a starting role. And like I said, with the Cardinal situation, who knows with James Conner being hurt? If James Conner gets hurt again, like I said, then he's pretty much the starter. So I like Algier going to the Cardinals. Not yet at the Cardinals, but at the Jets right now. So Jets, I mean, it's pretty much like they're going to take an edge rusher. But I do want to kind of show like the moves that they've made. I will say that if I remember correctly, I don't think ESPN's depth chart has really moved. Who's going to be the depth chart? But I mean, obviously they traded for Geno Smith, so that's going to be your starter. Pretty much like tank commander. Your wide receiver room, not the best. I think they're obviously going to take a wide receiver in this either their second first round pick or in the second round. Um, Interior offensive line is like needs some improvement, but the bookend tackles, I absolutely love that. Let's look at the defense. So obviously you trade and you get Sweat. You sign Joseph Asai. You sign Kingsley, so you get good edge rushers, like fine edge rushers, but you're looking for a difference maker. And so, in my opinion, like I still think they're going to take edge. I think there's been some smoke of like some of the signs they have done, which are veterans, kind of to, um, you know, elevate this defense from where it was. I still need some help, obviously, to get some better depth because I don't like Brandon Stevens, but you signed him, so I mean, what am I supposed to do? But for the Jets wise, I think it's going to still say the same thing. I'm still going to take Arvell Reese. I know that the Jets are going to 3-4, which is the other reason why I'm talking with the ESPN. I don't love how the fact they're still doing a base 4-3. They're not doing that anymore. They're doing a 3-4 defense. So like having Sweat, Phillips, and then I'm gonna assume Anyamata gonna be the other starting one. Will McDonald, Joseph Aside, then having Arvo Reese kind of play both linebacker and edge. I think he's going to be playing both. I think potentially that could be really good. Um, but like I said, you just need a difference maker. You need a pass rusher. And so like as much as I am Arvo reason I was talking on the Jets, looking at his upside, and just go with the physical gifts. Go with the physical gifts. Um, and you don't, because like I said, like his ceiling is higher than David Bailey and or even Ruben Bain. As much as I love Ruben Bain, so I can understand what the Jets could potentially, if go on mix to a 3-4, it would be, I would say, going to I would say they would be going to Arvo Reese. Now, I think that Ruben Bain is better. If I were the Jets, I would take Ruben Bain. But again, that's not what this is about. Because like I said, if I were to make my picks, I would make my picks. But I'm going based upon like what top 30 visits they started making, what combine visits, all this kind of stuff like that they've shown already the interest in the players. What I'm kind of going with. Now I'm going to the Cardinals. Now, speaking of the Cardinals, let's see here. Arizona Falcons. They also got Darnell Mooney. Yes, they did. Absolutely. Um, this is the time of the World Baseball Classic. A team in Japan did not make the Final Four. Yes, I did see that as well. Like I said, I got technically on the USA World Basketball. So I watched basketball earlier. World Baseball Classic. Hoping for USA to win. I wanted USA to become the because I'm from here, but DR is so much more fun to watch. That is also fair. PCA and Bregman on Team USA, those are last big club players. Yep. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not like the biggest baseball fan, but I watch it. So I'm just like, hey, let's go USA. But I'm not really all that familiar with. I'm not all that familiar with. I mean, I played it before, like, but I wasn't very good. I was not very good. All right. Speaking of the Cardinals, so the Cardinals, like I said, speaking of Darnell Mooney signing, um, the Cardinals need a lot of help. And in my first mock draft, I had them taking Francis Mauangola because I know that they need help at the right tackle position. The right tackle position it's abysmal. And it's what it is. It's abysmal. Like I like Paris Johnson Jr. I think he's amazing. I like the fact of like the sign they had at left guard. I remember off the top of my head, but I gotta look back at it. But I remember I liked the left guard signing that they had. Yeah, Isaac. That's where I was like from for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I like the left side. Right side, I am not happy about at all. That's the reason why I picked right tackle at number 3, but I don't think that Mario is going to go that high. And so in this instance, I'm going to go in a different direction. So though I think that tackle is a very, very important piece for the Cardinals to make sure they can always straighten back up. So what I'm looking at right now is looking at their edge rushers. So obviously Josh Sweat had an amazing year. Love Josh Sweat. But outside of him, I'm not really loving the edge rushers. And the fact that Zaven Collins, I believe, is on his last year of his deal. So if Zaven Collins is the last year of his deal, this Monte didn't draft him, if I remember correctly. Monte didn't draft him. So Monte could be looking at making like his own move to better the pass because like it's not like Zaven Collins has been anything special. So I'm looking at edge rusher. Now, if I'm looking at edge rusher, I'm looking at either Ruben Bain or I'm looking at David Bailey. And again, I love Ruben Bain. I think he's the best edge rusher in the class. However, two things. One, there's going to be a lot of people who doubt the fact of like his short arms. That's going to concern certain GMs who are like, I need an impact player, and I need to make sure this guy has measurables to be able to do it. Secondly, off the edge, that's going to be David Bailey. Again, you got Josh Sweat, who's like he's a pretty good run defender as well as being a great pass rusher, but he's also a great pocket pressure. And so if you're looking for someone who's able to clean up a lot of those sacks, that's going to be an athlete like David Bailey. So at 3 overall, I'm going to take David Bailey, basically put him in that Zaven Collins role. Like I said, they kept the Cardinals kept the DC, so still the same kind of defense. But I want to put David Bailey in that Zaven Collins-esque kind of role. Obviously, Darius Robinson hasn't been as great as you're hoping for, but it is what it is. But I like David Bailey going high. I know there's been some concerns about like character concerns. I don't think that's really going to be a problem for the Cardinals because character concerns were a big thing for Walsh Nolan, and they took Walsh Nolan in the first round. So again, I don't think that's going to be a problem with the Cardinals taking him at number 3. Obviously, some people were thinking they were going to go Jeremiah Love. I didn't think so. They went with Tyler Algier. I think it's a better option as far as like obviously Love is way better, but as far as like the kind of capital that you're putting in that position, because you already have James Conner and also Trey Benson there, I think it's smart for the Cardinals to go Tyler Algier, skip on the Jeremiah Love, and go try to find like an impactful guy on defense what they desperately need. So, getting David Bailey. Titans. Again, in my mind, I would go edge rusher here. I think that there is potential to have one of the most absolutely disgusting defensive lines. I mean, if I were the Titans and I would take Ruben Bain, you would have Ruben Bain and also Jermaine Johnson edge. Two amazing run stuffers that can also get after the quarterback and get you probably like 7 or 8 sacks a season. Okay. On the interior, you would have John Franklin Myers and Jeffrey Simmons. That would be an incredible defensive line that ain't nobody running up against. And like I said, maybe it's not like the most prolific pass rush, but like it's still getting pressure. So that's what I'm saying. Like in my mind, I would definitely love for the Titans to take an edge rusher. However, if I am Brian Dable and I got fired from the Giants, I'm coming to the Titans because obviously you want to be able to, revive your career. And what better way to develop Cam Ward? What's a good way to develop Cam Ward? A wide receiver? Possibly. But, I mean, like, I don't know if you would really reach for a wide receiver here, considering all the other needs you might need. I also succeeded with an amazing running back at Saquon. Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, both their contracts go up after this season. If the Titans get Jeremiah Love, you saw what Brian Daboll did with Saquon Barkley when Saquon Barkley was healthy, and how that helped out Daniel Jones. Technically helped get Daniel Jones that big old contract. If I'm going to have a excellent pass catcher out of the backfield, a field like someone who can like home run hitter, just a absolute athletic freak at running back, can take away a whole lot of pressure off of Cam Ward, and with an offensive line that is definitely suspect, he can also elevate your offensive line the same exact way that Saquon did for the Giants. Like Giants' offensive line wasn't anything obviously they had Andrew Thomas, amazing offensive lineman, but they didn't have like this as great of an offensive line as say the the Eagles do and did. So if I am the Titans, as much as I would love to see Ruben Bain on this, I'm going to take Jeremiah Love. I'm going to draft. Like I don't think there's any to make sure I get my guy, because as much I'm not like a huge fan of the wide receiver class. I like some of them, but I'm not like not 4 overall. So Jeremiah Love, amazing for the Titans if he goes there. But there's been a lot of stuff. Oh, we see here. No, poor one for everybody. Let's see, Jaquan Brisker, he did go to Pittsburgh. I did see that. Let's see here. Let's see if there's any other ones for NFL uniform change. Acuna, Titans New Jerseys. I know I don't love the logo switch because it takes away the flames, but I love it's like a subtle jab. It's like, yeah, we're going more to the Oiler colors. So screw you, Houston. You're gonna have to get used to seeing these colors a lot more. But I like the uniforms. I'm not a big fan of the logo though. I will say that I'm not a huge fan. Let's see here. Falcons also get new uniforms April 2nd. IK also new logo, but honestly, I had a problem with the old jerseys. I think there's, like I said, if the Falcons went to like the old jerseys, like I said, we're talking about the black jerseys, and made those more permanent ones. Oh gosh, because those are like the top ones as well. Um, like those throwback jerseys, I kind of like the Patriots too a little bit. And I kind of like the Jaguars too. The one that has like the Jaguar on the side right here. I kind of like that too. All right, now going to the Giants. Giants can go in a lot of different directions. Obviously, there is a whole lot of uproar about one of the free agent signings that they did, which basically retain. I don't know why in the world they decided to retain. I don't know why in the world they decided to retain Evan Neal. It's like a toxic relationship, but it is what it is. They decided to retain him. So like right guard is a situation, but I don't think they're going to draft a right guard this high. I think they potentially take in the second round or whatnot. It's obviously like some want for wide receivers. Oh, yeah, Darnell Mooney went to Giants. What was I talking about the Cardinals for? I can't remember. Anyways, Darnell Mooney, Darius Slayton, and Malik Neighbors is your wide receiver room. Obviously, I think that you could definitely improve that. But do you go over wide receiver right now? I don't know. I don't know. But let's look at this defense. Now, defense has the makings to be really good. Last year, obviously, Shane Bowen, terrible DC. So a lot of it was scheme dependent for sure on it being bad. But I'm also looking to try to improve it. So obviously, I like the secondary moves made. Like I said, Paulson Debo, like him. Like I said, him being here again. Greg Newsome, I think, is a great signing. Having Drew Phillips be in the nickel, I like the secondary. I'm hoping Tyler Newman takes the next step. Hopefully, with a new DC, he does a little bit better. We're looking at the linebackers. Obviously, they signed Tremaine Edmonds, but outside of him, I'm not the biggest fan of Micah McFadden. I don't even know who Swayze Bozeman is. That sounds like the most made-up name I've ever heard in my life. And then Darius Munson, I think he was fine. I'm not a big fan of him either. But I'm looking at linebacker, and I absolutely adore Sonny Styles. I think that he is, and he's definitely proven to be one of the top 10 players. I don't think he falls out of the top 10. If you're looking at the Giants and you're looking at your run defense was atrocious. Now, some of it has to do with linebacker play, some has to do with play scheme. Obviously, that's a big part of it. But if I want to have two studs at inside linebacker, because I think Tremaine Edmonds is a pretty decent linebacker. I just think for the price that the Bears are paying him, that's the reason why they released him. But Tremaine Edmonds and then pair him with Sonny Styles, athletic freak, does not miss a tackle. I mean, he only missed one tackle last year. That was in the playoffs. It was the only time he missed tackle. Okay, against Miami. Athletic, like I said, he was a former safety. He is a blue chip prospect. So if I'm the Giants, I'm sticking with what I had before. I'm taking Sonny Styles because, like I said, I need to improve that defense so that I'm not having to have Jackson Dart score 30 points a game to just be able to win the game. Sometimes that doesn't even work for you. So again, I am improving this defense and then looking throughout the rest of the draft to just have more impactful guys. Because if you are Joe Shane, you have to have impactful rookies. Because last year, you had impactful rookies, and that saved your job. So this year, especially to make sure that you can stay as a GM, you have to have impactful rookies. So I'm not reaching at a wide receiver to be wide receiver number 2 for us. No, I'm going to get an impact guy that people are going to fall in love with and that I know for a fact is going to at least cause us to win 2 more games than normal. Sonny Styles is that kind of player. He's the kind of guy that can force with a tight end. Like I said, he's that kind of guy. So again, Sonny Styles falls to me at 5. I ain't complaining if I'm the Giants. I'm taking them. Now moving on to the Browns. Browns interesting situation. Did he do the nickname for Neal first? I don't know. That's an interesting one. Let's see here. Blackfake. Oh, let's see here. We got a lot more comments. Let's see here. Alien uniform change. Would have been A plus the face mask red. I agree with that with the Tennessee Titans too. Or like a baby blue, maybe. Like the red for sure would have been a really good one. Let's see here. What else did we say? I'm trying to remember. Trying to catch up on comments. Um, exactly, your rivals. You got to be toxic to each other. Yeah. Evan Neal signed. Yeah, signed like a very like small contract. I don't think he should have returned. He should have just left. Like, it's just a toxic situation. Um, no, I don't think. I don't think he got robbed blind. I think that he's just been. He hasn't put out that good of tape. Like Evan Neal hasn't put that good of tape that he doesn't deserve to have a big old contract. Um, but I don't know for the nickname for Neal. No, I'm not quite sure. Um, Evan Neal was way before Drake May. I didn't know about that. I knew Drake May's been for quite some time. Well, this season, but I didn't know about Evan Neal. I mean, Evan Neal has just been his nickname has also been like the hamburger thing. That situation. That's the reason why I'm like he just need to leave because a whole lot of Giants fans don't love him unless he just loves the new regime and he's like, yeah, I want to be part of this and maybe compete for a right guard position. I don't know. Maybe he saw that as his best chance to still start because, like I said, they didn't bring in other guy. So maybe they're like, oh well, I can potentially compete for this right guard position. I don't know, but it is what it is. Like I said, I don't. I was skeptical about Evan Neal coming out because of the Iron Bowl 2029. Some of the concerns I'm starting to have for Caden Proctor a little bit. Not as bad, but I'm having a little bit concerned. All right, so going into the Browns, right? So Browns go a lot of different directions. Um, Obviously, if you look at their depth chart, there is a glaring hole. Address it because they let Cam Robinson go, and so the only left tackle they have on roster is I can't remember off the top of my head. It is Dewan Jones. One of they also got Jeremiah Byers, but they got Dewan Jones. I'm not a big fan of Dewan Jones. I think he's been okay, but I'm not the biggest fan. But the rest, I'm okay with. Like, is Zion only if he's healthy? This can elevate Zion Johnson and Tevin Jenkins because he's that kind of player. I think Titus Howard is a pretty daggum good right tackle, and he can also kick inside as well. Like he can kick inside and be at a guard if you want to move Dewan Jones. But I still think they're going to go after left tackle. But I don't think they're going to go number 6. Again, I think 6 is a little bit high now for these tackles. I think they can get a better player at 6 than potentially moving a right tackle over to left because right now the best tackles are only right tackles. So, edge rusher also potential here. Like I said, if you want to pair somebody with Myles Garrett, like I said, that could potentially be a kind of guy like Ruben Bain. I don't think they'll go that way. I mean, you've already invested a lot in your defense. You're kind of looking to kind of invest some of your offense to either see if Shedeur can be the guy, which I don't think he can, or potentially, like I said, try to get yourself in a position where I've seen some Browns where they've been really high on Ty Simpson. And that could be also another pick for number 24. But at number 6, and I think it might be a little bit of a reach, but I think they're going to take wide receiver. Again, there are some people who are very high in the wide receiver class. I'm not as high. I think there's some decent guys who can be great number 2s or can be a number 1 in the certain system. So we're talking about Todd Monken's system. I'm thinking of the fact that you have either Jordan Tyson or Cardinal Tate fits in this role. Obviously, there is a love for some Browns fans to try to get Jordan Tyson. If you don't know, Jordan Tyson's brother actually plays the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kind of interesting little dynamic there. But I think because they have Jerry Jeudy, who kind of not really fits the same exact role as Jordan Tyson, but like I think Jordan Tyson would play in Jerry Jeudy's role. They don't really have, for a wide receiver perspective, they have Cedric Tillman, who I'm okay on. Like I like Cedric Tillman, but like if I could upgrade our big, physical, doesn't drop anything kind of X wide receiver, I'm looking at Cardinal Tate. I'm rushing there because I think Cardinal Tate is an absolutely outstanding player. I think there's been some comparisons. I like to do NFL comparisons. There's some comparisons to T. Higgins. I think that's pretty decent. Like as far as like being a bigger body, taller, catches everything, but just plucks out of the air. I mean, like he's got like over 10-inch hands, massive hands, and he just doesn't drop anything that comes his way. And if I'm looking at Shedeur Sanders, who just needs somebody to be able to catch the ball from him, and he's obviously needs more help as well, but I'm looking at Carnell Tate at 6 overall. I could possibly trade down, but like to make sure I get my guy, I'll get Carnell Tate at number 6 overall. I'd be very, very happy. Who will not be happy is the Commanders. If this happens and the Commanders are not able to get Carnell Tate, they'll be very upset because the Commanders, I mean, they just need wide receiver help. I mean, for a fact. And make sure I'm not missing anything. No, I'm not missing anything. So, Commanders' wide receiver room looks absolutely abysmal right now. Obviously, they're losing Deebo Samuel. He didn't quite do what they were hoping for. And also the fact that you have Scary Terry getting up there in age. You did get him to a good contract. Good on you keeping Scary Terry. But, like, I mean, am I very happy about Luke McCaffrey? I think he's fine. I think Donnie Brown is okay. But I'm not, like, super duper happy about it. So I'm also not having a lot of picks because you remember they still are missing the second round pick for the Larry Tunsil trade. This is now the Titans, not Titans, but the Texans. So if I'm the Commanders and this is how it falls, and I can't get my wide receiver to pair with Scary Terry, I'm looking for a trade down. Now, who trades up? So this, like I said, in this draft, I will have trades, not a whole lot, but still having some trades. Now, who trades up? So we have Caleb Downs on the board, Ruben Bain, and Francis Mauigoa. Who in the right mind is going to try to trade up for future assets to make sure they get their kind of guy? That's going to be somebody that they know is going to work out. They know that the fans are going to love. I'm looking at Ruben Bain because I know for a fact if Ruben Bain falls somehow to the Saints, he is going to the Saints. As a Panthers fan, I don't want that to happen. So part of it is also me kind of being motivated that I don't want Ruben Bain to go into the Saints. But I do think that potentially if Ruben Bain starts to fall, somebody's going to trade up for him. Who is going to trade for Ruben Bain? There is a team who needs edge rusher help. They just lost a guy, went to the Bills. They traded another guy that went to the Eagles and now is on the Panthers. The Dolphins desperately need help. Miami legend to stay in Miami, to be that guy for you. That is going to be amazing for Miami. Like, I think they would absolutely trade this. So let's go into what could possibly be. So obviously Miami trading up from 11 to pick 7. So again, not having to give up a whole lot. But it's going from 7 to 11. So obviously we have a little bit of ways to go. Second round pick is a little bit too rich. But let's go to a third round pick. We're pretty daggum close. So raising up, this is going to give Washington another third round pick. So they have 2 third round picks to potentially move up if they like a player start to fall down. But we need a little bit more. Just a little bit more. So again, not much. Let's add a 5th round pick. So we got 11, a 3rd round pick at 75, and then a 2027 5th round pick, which 2027 looks like it'd be like an amazing class to add more ammunition for Washington. I think they're going to accept this trade. Again, it's pretty daggum close as far as like the trade kind of value. So 3rd round pick, helping out Washington get more picks and also future capital as well to make sure that you get your guy that, again, you're going to love the fact that you have Ruben Bain still in Miami. So again, confirm, trade's been accepted, and that means that Miami Dolphins are going to get Ruben Bain Jr. Again, Dolphins need help. I mean, they need cornerback help. They need wide receiver help. They've been looking at other places, but like they need some help. But if I'm able to get my edge rusher, I'm a defensive guy in Jeff Hafley, I'm going to get Ruben Bain Jr. and be like, this is going to be great because hopefully Chop Robinson takes his year 3 ascension. You have Ruben Bain's going to be a for sure great run defender. And like I said, hopefully, like I say, your defense is able to take the next step forward because as much as I would love for the Dolphins to go for a cornerback, the Patriots, not the Packers didn't really value it that much either. So if I'm looking from that perspective, and they carry it over, are they really going to try to go after a cornerback in the first round? And maybe not. So let's go for your edge rusher, solid run defender, like what they typically do. Now for the Saints, Saints can go a lot of different kind of directions. I think Caleb Downs is a potential option here. Even think Malachi Lemon could be an option here, but I'm looking at one of my top guys who's going to pair well with Olave, and also if Olave gets hurt, he can also play Olave's role. He can play multiple different kind of roles, and a little bit lower because of his injury history, which is definitely a concern. And I think that 8 is the highest I could possibly see where Jordan Tyson goes. I think it potentially could fall because of his injuries, but somebody is going to take a chance on him. And in this case, it would be the Saints taking a chance on Jordan Tyson because, dude, if Jordan Tyson is healthy, he is absolute stud. He knows how to get open. He's got great releases. I mean, absolutely impeccable releases. Holy crap. Like, dude, he is going to be good if he can just stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be good. Like, that's the reason why right now, technically, Jordan Tyson is number one wide receiver. Him and Carson Tate is kind of close. But if he can just stay healthy, he's going to be good. That, like I said, that's a big if. It's a big if. Again, if the Saints could get Jordan Tyson, I would hate it because I think that's a great player. But it's a great compliment to Olave. It gives Shough a great number 2 option because that wide receiver room is not good outside of me. Vele is okay, but outside of him is not really anything for that wide receiver room. So again, it'll be a great move for them. Hello, Parker. How you doing? How you doing? Oh, let's see here. What? Yes, Achane. Yes. So I thought it was like A Tien. I thought it was A Tien, not A Chan. So it might be A Tien, and then through Cajun dialogue can make it A Chan, because that's what typically happens. So like sometimes the way that it's initially spelled changes. So like obviously Sanders used to be Saunders, but if you take the U out, then like it becomes like almost like a Sanders kind of thing. But like it could still be saying as Saunders. So I guess in that same kind of way that like it looks like A Tien, and it might be like through like some kind of like through Cajun be like A Chien instead of A Tien, A Chien. So I don't know, maybe that could possibly be it. But yes, I am also seeing we got 2 on base for 2 outs. With Henderson on the plate. But I get it. I get why what Trevor Achane was basically saying. Like, if you have said for multiple times, like, "Hey, this is my name," and then people continuously don't say it right, that maybe you're just like, "All right, well, let's just go with what people are saying." But it still sucks. I mean, like, why didn't you say it for the Jaguars? Like, and I agree with what Brandon Perner said. He was like, when a person gets drafted, can we just ask the person, hey, how do you say your name? Because like it had the same thing for Achan, for Devon Achan, where they were saying A-Chain, which like if you just watch Texas A&M, you know it wasn't A-Chain, but people were trying to say A-Chain because of train. But anyways, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess like just like people just expect him to be ETN, so he just kept it that way. But still, it's kind of wild that like all of a sudden he's letting know. Um, yes, March Madness. Oh, am I gonna stream anything for March Madness? No. I'm not gonna stream anything for March Madness. Uh, I don't know enough about basketball to be able to commentate on it. I played basketball 1 year, was not very good at it. Um, I'm okay. I'm much more of a center out of anything. But I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what's a good foul, what's a bad foul call, all this kind of stuff. So I'm not gonna be streaming. I'm not gonna be streaming March Madness. I'm gonna be watching it for sure, but I'm not gonna be streaming it. Let's see here. What else did I say? Oh, yeah, he did ground down. In fact, yes, it did. Like I said, into the top, well, top of the into the top of the first. So back to the Chiefs. So after Jordan Tyson goes to the Saints, Chiefs You trade away basically your best cornerback, but you've done it the last couple times anyways. Like was it Kyle Fuller was the first one, or was it no? It was Tre'Davious Ward. Tre'Davious Ward was the first one. Then you had L'Jarius Sneed. Then now you had Trent Duffy, where you've had like good, 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 and then now you're like, all right, well, who am I going to replace them with? Obviously, I love these top two corners. I think that they both specialize in different things. And if I'm looking at a guy who can play inside out, can play nickel, basically play what not to the level of Trent McDuffie, obviously, but can play the both inside out versatility. Also, technically through some research, I found this out. He this player also went to the same like high school as Patrick Mahomes and has been getting like text messages from Patrick Mahomes. Jermon McCoy. Jermon McCoy is an absolute stud. His 2024 tape is there's a reason why he was considered like a top five pick this upcoming season, but unfortunately, like I said, the ACL took him out, and so he's going to slip a little bit because of that. But he's a year removed from it. Oh my goodness, that's pop up. Let's pop up. Okay, he's a year removed from it. It's a desperate need for the Chiefs, and I think they knew that weren't going to get Jeremiah Love. That's the reason why they went after Kenneth Walker. They traded away. They traded away. What am I thinking about? Top of my head. They traded away Trent McDuffie. Good lord, I couldn't think of that name because they knew that one of the top two corners was going to fall to them, and I guess they would feel really good bet that Jermon McCoy is going to fall to them. They can just restart that whole entire 5-year option. Can be able to reset, like I said, not try to pay so much money because again they're paying a whole lot of other people. So if I'm them, I'm taking Jermon McCoy, absolute stud. Obviously, there's a hope that he recovers very well from the injury, but from what I'm hearing, it's been good. So from all I'm hearing, it's like okay, we're solid. We're solid. We're not hurting for anything. Another pop up for the DR. Um, so now going to the Bengals. Bengals can go a whole lot of different ways, and honestly, like there's a couple of teams that I'm just trying to figure it out because like there's still a lot of moves like that they need to make. Like let me just show you for the Bengals because like, I haven't showed you for quite a little bit. Some of these depth charts, but like the Bengals depth chart kind of shows like I still need a whole lot of help. Let me just double check and see if there's any new ones. No, no new ones. But the Bengals depth chart, obviously, quarterback, running back, and like I say, wide receivers, always also good. Got Mike Gesicki, you're fine. But like that interior offensive line, you could potentially look after. Like obviously, like I said, Dylan Fairchild wasn't necessarily the best. Dalton Reisner, I don't believe all was the best either. So like I said, you're looking for improving on the offensive line. For defense, you got Jonathan Allen, but your overall DT like depth, I'm not the biggest fan of. Like I said, right now Chris Jenkins hasn't really been what I was hoping for. But you got Boye Mafe, Miles Murphy, and Shamar Stewart. So I don't think edge rusher is where they're going because I think that they're fine where they are right now. Obviously, you could probably get one like later on in the draft. It's not like a huge need. Linebacker, obviously, they would have loved to have Sonny Styles, but he's not going to. I don't think he's going to fall to them. I think either he's going to fall past 5, and then someone's going to try to get him, or he's going to be taken at 5. But look at the secondary; they definitely need some help. But I think the Bengals like Jordan Battle. They signed Brian Cook, so I don't think that safety is going to be. I don't think Caleb Downs is going to be the pick, even though I love Caleb Downs here. I don't think Caleb Downs is going to be the pick. So instead, going back to this offense, yes, you want to invest more in defense, and that's going to be a big concern for a lot of people for sure. a lot of Bengals fans want you to invest on defense, but you also got to protect Joe Burrow. Obviously, tackles, you got Orlando Brown. And also, like I said, Amarius Mims, who's had some good moments at times, like still kind of like, improving. I think that I like Amarius Mims coming out. I think that he'll have a year 3 jump. So I'm looking at interior. I don't think that I think that might be a little too high for Olane, the right guard, the guard out of Penn State. But what about some of the position flexibility? And this is where the first technically tackle goes off the board. But Spencer Fano can play any position because of how athletic he is. He has been training to play interior offensive line if need be. He even said it. He even said at the combine. And also, the Bengals have shown interest in getting Spencer Fano. So if I'm the Bengals, and obviously, like I said, a person like Sonny Styles doesn't fall to me, that kind of thing, or if I don't feel great about the report about Sonny Styles' I think it was ACL or his knee thing or whatever it is, if I don't feel comfortable with that, I'm going with more of a sure thing. It's Spencer Fano, who I know is going. In my mind, I think he's a stud. I think he's going to, like, both him and Maui Noa is going to be really good. I think they're really good in the NFL. It's just how far people how far do they think good about right tackle, and besides that, how much am I only pick 10? It's only been almost been an hour. Holy crap! I'm taking forever. I'm taking forever. I got to hurry up on this. Good lord. I didn't realize how much I've been talking, but I'm taking Spencer Fano. Playing him inside. If Amarius Mims struggles, then you can look at kicking Fano outside. But for right now, he's going to have position flexibility for in case Amarius Mims get hurt or someone else. So now back to the Commanders. Obviously, they could take a wide receiver here. They could take a McKylin, but I don't think he really fits the kind of scheme that they're going to be looking for. So instead, I'm going to go after a stud that I think that's going to be. I don't love the safety room for the Commanders. I think that also Caleb Downs can play nickel as well. He can play a lot of different kind of positions. He's going to be a chess piece for Dan Quinn. And honestly, we got a live ball. There we go. Anyways, I would love that pick for the Commanders. I think early on I kind of had them at pick 7, but I think that Caleb Downs is going to fall down because of the injury concerns. And so if you're the Commanders, you still got a great guy that you're probably looking at pick 7, and you pick up a 3rd-round pick as well. So again, obviously you're upset you missed a wide receiver, Cardinal Tate, but I think you're still fine with the fact that you got Caleb Downs. Now moving on to the Cowboys. Cowboys can go a lot of directions. Obviously, they were hoping they could get one of the big edge rushers. Unfortunately, none of them fall to them. They have 2 first-round picks, yes, but they don't have a second-round pick. And I don't think they're going to try to trade up with one of their first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick to try to get, like, their guy. So instead, they might go, like, okay, let's just, like, do kind of what the Eagles do and just, like, wait for people to fall to us. So a person who's fall to them, same as that way with the Eagles before. The new DC for the Cowboys was the guy that helped revitalize that secondary. Obviously, even looking straight up, they got Kobe Durant, they have Shavon Revel, they have Deron Bland. So they technically have a starting 3. But if I'm looking to try to get a shutdown corner that I know is going to be a shutdown corner the same exact way that Quinyon Mitchell is, I'm looking at Mansour Delane, and I'm picking that up immediately. Look, I understand that you might have paid people a certain way, but if your defense is as downright terrible as it was last year, you just need to try to get the best you possibly can be. So basically, making the defense in the image of the DC, getting a stud cornerback. You can still have Shavon Revel, have him develop for another year, while you still have Deron Bland on contract. His contract is absolutely bloated, but you could still potentially get off of it in the later years. And then Kobe Durant is an amazing nickel that you're going to be able to play all around. That I love that signing for the Cowboys. So again, if he somehow falls to Cowboys, I would love that because I could honestly see at that's a great double play. I could honestly see I like pick Rams. And this one's an easy one. Obviously, I've kind of mocked a lot Makai Lemon because the wide receiver situation for the Rams is paying a lot of money to Puka Nacua eventually, and then they're looking to move on from Devontae Adams potentially. If I'm looking at trying to get another weapon, that could potentially be Makai Lemon as high as we are pick 13. But if Mawanoa, who can fall potentially, if he starts falling, I'm absolutely trading up and getting Mawanoa at pick 13. So I fixed my right tackle situation because like McClendon is fine as a right tackle, but if I'm looking at I can get a stalwart for the next 10 years or just someone who can like do patchwork for the next 2 years, I'm picking the guy who's going to be on my team for 10 plus years, and that is Mawanoa for sure. Absolutely stud. But I do think that some of these tackles are going to fall, and there's going to be like a run of tackles. But if he starts to fall, I could absolutely see him going to pick 13. Yeah, double play. I saw that. I had to make sure I was caught up on chats. All right, now for the Ravens. So the Ravens have picked 14 again. Obviously, like I said, this is part of the backing out of the Max Crosby deal. Um, I think that there was obviously there's some shady stuff going on, and we'll find more about it like as the season goes on. But it obviously doesn't look the best for the Ravens right now. But if you're looking at the fact that you lost out Tyler Linderbaum, you also re-signed Mark Andrews, and then John Harbaugh still Isaiah Likely from me, which is a hilarious move in hindsight. Bomb. I could go center later on, or or I can get an absolute stud right now that I think is. I would say that he is better than the guards from last year's draft. Um, he's okay. I would say this: Owane is in the last two draft classes. I like him better than Tyler Booker, even though I absolutely adore Tyler Booker. I loved him to death coming out. I would say he's better. And I know that it's been reported that Owane has also been has been trying to be both center and guard. Has been training for both those in the offseason. So if I'm the Ravens, I'm looking at getting Awane, which is an issue I had been going with anyways, because I didn't think they were going to be able to afford Tyler Linderbaum. And with everything going on, I kind of figured like, oh, they're going to try to replace Tyler Linderbaum. So why not do it with Awane? Again, get an absolute stud at the center position. Technically a guard, but can kick it at center, or you can try John Simpson at center. I don't care. Again, looking trying to improve the offensive line because you saw how terrible it was with Falale. So again, that's the reason why you got rid of him. So now on to 15 Bucks. Bucks are in an interesting spot. Obviously, the way that the season ended last year, and then retain Todd Bowles, I think is part of the reason why Mike Evans was just like he was kind of done. Like after that, what was it fourth and what 27 or something like that, or whatever it was. I think he was done for that. He was just like he felt like his career. He probably felt like his career was being wasted right now because the fact of you know Todd Bowles. But Todd Bowles needs to get his guy. He needs to get his guy. So if I'm Todd Bowles, I'm looking at the fact like, okay, Dennis didn't quite do what I was hoping for. And unfortunately, Levante Davis kind of fallen off a little bit. Again, it was eventually going to happen, and it's already happened. So if I'm looking at this right now, and some people might say it's a little bit of reach, but again, I don't think it's that big of a reach. I love CJ Allen. He's an amazing leader because, again, he ran the defense for Georgia for 2 years. So Kirby Smart's defense, he ran it for 2 years. He's a great blitzing linebacker that Todd Bowles loves to have. And, like I said, he's a sure tackler too. Absolute stud. So, again, you can say that it's a little bit of a reach, but if I'm Todd Bowles, I'm not going to worry about the fact that I might have reached him 5 spots more than he might have would have gone. Like if he would have fallen to the the Cowboys. They would take him at pick 20. So again, am I going to worry about if my top balls? Am I going to worry about like, oh, I didn't get I reached on CJ Allen to make sure I could keep my job? No, I'm not going to care about that. So again, take a CJ Allen, fix your linebacker problem that you desperately needed. And like I said, you could have gone edge rusher here. There's been some people saying Cassius Howell. I do think Cassius Howell is also going to have a little bit of a fall. Oh wow, is that gone? Yes, it is. That's gone. DR is up 1-0. Bottom of second, 2 outs. But yeah, so like I said, CJ Allen. I would hate that because I love CJ Allen. Honestly, I would love if he fell to the Panthers at 19. Um, but yeah, like I said, if I'm the Bucks, that's the move I'm making. Now going to the Jets. Obviously, Jets can, like I said, can go a lot of different ways. I think they go wide receiver, and for their second first round pick to be able to get like a guy that can help complement Garrett Wilson, and especially if Garrett Wilson gets hurt again. I mean, Garrett Wilson was your leading wide receiver, and he only had 400 receiving yards. Obviously, quarterback is part of the problem, but like, dude, like, no, I'm absolutely going to get Mekhi Lemon here. One, I think he compliments. I think he compliments him really well. There's also some familiarity with the fact like you already have Aaron Glenn from the Lions, saw what the Lions are able to do with Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm not comparing him totally, but I know like he models his game off the Amon-Ra St. Brown. Um, and so hopefully Frank Reich can have a decent year and like you can get something out. Because like I said, I don't know with the moves that the Jets have made and the potential players they could get with their draft picks. They have, I think they have like what 4 picks in the top like 50. I think because I know they have 2 second round picks as well. One from the Cowboys. Like if I'm the Jets, I'm looking at the fact that I might be too good to get the top pick. So I just need to get the best players available in this draft so that if by next year I need to trade up and get my guy, I can and still be okay. Like, okay, well, I just got a whole bunch of studs last year's draft to be able to just plop a rookie QB in. So again, that's what I would do. I'd take Mekhi Lemon. You got two great wide receivers going into next year with Mason Taylor hopefully having like another great year because I like Mason Taylor coming out. And then maybe they re-sign Breece Hall, and then Breece Hall is like, okay, well, we actually get a great quarterback with our pick. And like I said, I don't know. But again, that's what I would do if I was Jets. Going on to the Lions, I don't know if I want to keep what I've done before or if I want to go a different direction. I think that there's potential the Lions go left tackle here. I know obviously they let Taylor Decker let him release, and they could go left tackle here. But I was stuck with this pick last mock draft, and I think I'm going to stick with it now. I just love the fit too much, and like sure you could say left tackle is a bigger need, but if I'm able to get Akeem Mesidor, who already yes he's 25, obviously old age is going to cause him to kind of fall, but if I can get a surefire number two with 5 years of roster control that I don't necessarily have to give another big contract to, that I'm already going to have for Aiden Hutchinson's, like, his peak to be able to have someone who's not developing, who's already developed right now, I'm taking Akeem Mesidor because, like I said again, Akeem Mesidor has a great first step. He's got a great bunch of moves. And so you're looking at a guy who's like, he is a number two. Obviously, he's number two. But you're pairing him well with Aiden Hutchinson, where Aiden Hutchinson can also get some of those pressure that Akeem's going to get and be able to finish him off. But also, with Aiden Hutchinson's getting pressure, Akeem's able to finish him off. Also, being able to like run a whole bunch of stuff that I know that the Lions are going to want to do. I just love the fit too much. And honestly, like I said, like if somehow, some way that Mesidor falls to the Panthers will probably take him as well. So again, this kind of helps me out as not having as many options like to choose from. But could they go Cam Proctor? Sure. Could they go Monroe Freeling? Sure. They could go like left tackle. But I think they're going to go edge rusher because I just love the fit for the Lions. He's such a Dan Campbell kind of player. Um, and I think that, like I said, the Lions fans will be happy to finally have a for sure number two for Aiden Hutchinson and be able to have a great duo for the next 4 to 5 years. So Akeem Mesidor going to the Lions. I know it had it. I know it had it last time too. I just love it too much to try to go away from it. So going to the Vikings, and this is another one too that like if the guy falls there, it's an automatic pick for me, and that's going to be Dylan Thieneman. Again, I love him. I loved him at Purdue, and then he went to Oregon, also balled out too. You need safety help with Harrison Smith being gone. Basically, just plug and play and not complain. I mean, if Dylan Thieneman is there at 18, he is going to be picked up by the Vikings. I believe that wholeheartedly. If not, the Vikings could potentially trade down because, again, they need some more draft capital. But if he's there at 18, they're going to take him. I feel pretty confident with that. See any other things? See here. Now's a Kirstead set up your way. Yep. I don't have the volume on unfortunately. Now the Panthers. So last year was the first time since 2016 where I did not pick the first round pick correct. Like I missed because I wanted Chris Jones in 2016. Again, I was 15. I was 15 years old. We just came off the Super Bowl loss. I wanted Chris Jones because Chris Jones was absolutely menace in Mississippi State. I saw it for 2 straight years. And I wanted him, instead we got Vernon Butler. So again, I was wrong on that one. But since then, I have been right by each and every one. The biggest surprise was getting Brian Burns right because I was already back at pick 19. But I genuinely thought that the Panthers were going to take Jalen Walker. We ended up taking Terrell McMillan. So again, I got that one wrong. I have a good feeling I probably did this one wrong. So again, I have been kind of like, changing up who we potentially take because we can go a lot of directions, especially now that we have basically going to be taking BPA at this point. I'm going to take BPA because we already solved our linebacker problem. We could potentially take a linebacker. We don't have to because we have Trevor Wallace, but we could take a linebacker. So if C.J. Allen had fallen here, maybe we'd have taken him. Don't have to take edge rusher. So again, we don't have to go for T.J. Parker or something like that because, like I said, we got Jalen Phillips. We don't have to go for left tackle because we got Rasheed Walker. So again, we don't have to reach for a left tackle when we're like, okay, well, we have Rasheed Walker for a year, so basically we have Rasheed Walker and Ike Ekwonu, and we can decide, okay, who are we going to go with, pretty much. So again, we can go a lot of different directions, and so I'm looking at best player available. In my opinion, I know that we need a nickel corner, but it's too high for nickel corner. I think 19 is a little too high for nickel corner, and who we could potentially get. Again, I love Pons. I love him to death from Indiana. Too high 19. Maybe you trade down and try to get him later on. I don't know. Like Keontae Scott. Keontae Scott a little bit older. Maybe you can get him at 51 in the second round. I don't know. But if I'm the Panthers, I'm looking at what the future is. So next year, for cap purposes, the way that we structure certain deals and the way that peak players have performed is making me look toward the future and seeing, okay, Tershawn Wharton and Bobby Brown Jr. both did not play well last year. Played horrible. We cut A'Shawn Robinson, who was a great defensive tackle for us. Now is the Bucks. I hate that. So, A'Shawn Robinson's gone. We have 2 players that didn't play well for us last year. And the same as when A'Shawn Robinson was cut, we could potentially cut Tershawn Wharton and also Bobby Brown III for cap savings. So again, you have Tershawn Wharton is like 14 mil, and Bobby Brown's like 6 mil. So I guess like 20 million to cut both those guys. But again, that's depth. So I'm looking at potentially going for like more of a tweener person. So someone who can play defensive end / defensive tackle. And yes, I'm an Auburn fan, so obviously that helps a little bit. But I love the fact that this year he doesn't have to be a starter. He can really focus on his craft. He's a young guy. A lot of people are going to be comparing him to Michael Williams. I can understand that a little bit, but I love what he could be because in my mind, Keldrick Falk with the right coaching could potentially be, and like I said, this is a little not blasphemous, but he could potentially be like a John Franklin Myers. Again, not a superstar by any means, but if you're telling me that I can get John Franklin Myers on my team for the next 5 years on very small contract, get like 7 or so sacks from him, I'll take that every single time. So again, if Keldrick Falk falls to the Panthers in 19, sure the Cowboys would hate the fact they would be able to get Keldrick Falk, but I love him to death. I would love for him to be my team, but also is the best situation for him because he's not required to start right away. He can develop because again, I like what he can be potentially. Uh, like I said, it would be a dream come true. I would if this would happen on draft night, I'd probably go crazy. So again, be prepared. If that happens, like I said, be prepared for the draft content. Um, I think I've already caught it back on super chats, not super chats, but chats. All right, now we're at 20. So again, Cowboys are upset. Tag gummit. We could have gotten almost hit him on the shoulder, on the elbow. We could have gotten Country Fall. We just missed out on tag gummit. All right, well, let's see here. We're at pick 20. We need some more picks as well. So this is where I think the Cowboys could potentially trade down. If the guy they want's not there, they could trade down. Like I said, if they hadn't take Delane and like right here is where a potential where like Avion Terrell would be, they would take Avion Terrell and like they would have no problems. But again, they were taking corner. They want to go more edge rusher, but there is some rumors with the Eagles right now of potentially looking to get, you know, a developmental tackle because Lane Johnson's getting older, and you need a kind of guy to be able to be like in the waiting wings. And a guy that I'm hearing, there's Max, what is his name? How is his name? It's like I can't remember his name. The one from Arizona State. Can't think of the top of my head. So he's potential. If I'm Cleveland and I'm at pick 24, and I got the Eagles right above pick 23, I don't want there to be a chance. I don't want there to be a chance that the Eagles can take that from me. So I'm looking to trade up. So let's go Browns trade up with the Cowboys. Again, if I remember correctly, I also think that Jerry and Jimmy Haslam are friends. I mean, like I know like a lot of owners are friends with each other, but I think they're friends with each other. So Cleveland trading up with Dallas, and again, it's not gonna take that. It's not gonna take that much either. But you have the picks because I said like the trade that you made with Jaguars gave you some more picks, so you have more draft capital kind of move all around. So again, you're looking at all these picks that they have right here. So going for 24 to 20. So as you can see, well, okay. I said pretty close as it is. I think all they're really going to need to give is top of the fourth round. Because if you're going top of the fourth round, let's look at this. If you're going top of the fourth round, give it to Dallas. Dallas would be at pick 24. 92 should be near the bottom of the third, and now top of the fourth, and then also close to the top of the fourth, and then top of the fifth. So again, you're looking at potentially moving up to get your guys. So again, I like that. I like that for Dallas. Getting additional pick, getting a top of the fourth round where you can potentially trade back up into third if you like a guy near the end of the third round to make sure you get him. And again, it's also like dead set, like even kind of trade. So again, Browns trade back backup to make sure they get their guy and Monroe Freeling. So again, you get your left tackle. Monroe Freeling was there, if I remember correctly, as a freshman under Todd Monken. So again, Todd Monken has some familiarity with him. And like I said, now you have an athletic freak at tackle instead of DeJuan Jones. So again, I like it. There we go. I don't know why for a second it was still at the Cowboys. So Steelers can go a lot of different directions. This is Ty Simpson going. Again, the last time Steelers took a quarterback at 21 wasn't the best, but I could see it happening. I could see wide receiver, though they already technically traded for their number 2. So again, you'd be going for a wide receiver at 3. I don't think they're going to take that in the first round. Kyle Schwarber just watched that go. Good Lord. I think corner could potentially be an option here too. Like I said, you could look at potentially Avion Terrell. But in this instance, if I'm Pittsburgh, right now it is Will Howard at quarterback. Obviously, they can sign a veteran. They haven't done so yet. So in this case, because we still have no clue what Steelers are doing at quarterback, I got to make sure that I get my quarterback in Ty Simpson. So again, I think Ty Simpson has potential to be really good. Though I would like him in a better place for right now because I don't know who the Steelers are. And by the week before the draft, hopefully the Steelers have more answers at quarterback than we just have Will Howard. Because at that point, then I'm gonna be like, no, they got to take Ty Simpson because again, I'm not believing in Will Howard. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. So I don't know. That's the one that's kind of stumping me a little bit. Again, you could go guard to kind of try to find someone to replace Isaac, who just went to the Cardinals. You could look at wide receiver, but again, you're going for wide receiver at 3 at best. So again, why would you want to try to take that in round 1? But again, that's my opinion. I think they're going to try to take Ty Simpson right now, unless, like I said, they go after a Kirk Cousins or they re-sign Aaron Rodgers or whatnot. I can't believe that they're going to go anywhere other than a rookie QB. And if you have the option to have that 5th-year option, why not? So again, taking Ty Simpson. But yeah. Wait, hey, that's correct. Good basically way to get out of a jam. Sucks that USA was never able to score there. Now going to 22. That's going to be the Chargers. Now, this was a huge one for me going Chargers, trying to go Awane, but the more and more thinking about it, I don't think Awane even comes close to the Chargers 22. New system of the offense. I like some of the moves they made. Looking at the defense, that interior defensive line needs some big help. And right now, there's a player that's been falling. And the reason why he's falling is because during the combine, I think he broke his foot or something like that. And so the injury concern for Caleb Banks continues. But if I'm the Chargers and I need interior pressure, Caleb Banks is that dude. I understand the injury concern is going to cause him to fall. And again, I think that's the reason why, the Panthers didn't take him. That's the reason why I decided not to take him. That's a big concern for me. But the level of talent that he can be, I'm taking a risk on Caleb Banks, providing interior pressure for the Chargers defense. But they need help at the interior defense line as well, anyways. Because right now it's Tart, and then technically the fullback is technically the starter for or that's what it's saying right now, for the ESPN depth chart. But again, I would just take best available. That's Caleb Banks at this point in time. I believe what the Chargers are doing. I'm hoping they make the next step, but you gotta win a playoff game first to kind of prove to me. Now going to the Eagles. Eagles, like I said, desperately want to make sure they can just go best player available. If Monroe Freeling was here, that would be the option. But we're looking at it right now. Obviously, Emmanuel McNeil Warren is an option to try to replace Reed Blankenship. But with how great the safety class is, I think the Eagles probably taking a safety in the second. We could go edge, so we could go Cassius Howell here. I don't think so. I think it's a little bit of a reach, and there's some concerns that I have for this player. But the Eagles have had a combine visit with him. He is not going to start right away. He can develop. So I'm looking at Caden Proctor. Again, I I'm trying to feel how I feel about Caden Proctor right now. I don't have the same exact feeling that I have for Evan Neal. I don't have that nearly that much. But I have a very big concern for him dealing with pressure off the edge for very bendy, speedy edge rushers. As far as power, as far as run blocking, I have no concerns. But I do have concerns about that. So, watching not only watching both tackles, playing for a great team, we assume, I'm okay with that. Again, I don't really feel like Caden Proctor should be starting in his rookie year. I just I have my concerns, and so that's kind of like in going into like my predictions. But I just really hope and pray that he is going to be able to develop with the Eagles. Obviously, they have their offensive line coach, their famed one for basically known for developing linemen, but hopefully they basically have someone waiting in the wings that basically do a similar esque job. So now we're here with the Cowboys. They're going to be looking for more of a pocket pressure kind of defensive end, a bigger guy, and this is where I want to take T.J. Parker. So again, you get Monster Delane, you get your shutdown corner, and now you're looking at okay, let's see what we could potentially do. So we're looking at the fact that we got our lockdown corner. We need more edge help. We did get Rashawn Gary, but we need a better like rotation. So T.J. Parker can now just be in a rotation instead of being a starter while you have Rasheed Walker. Oh, not Rasheed Walker, sorry. While you have Rashawn Gary and Dominic Ezeraku if take over. But again, it helps TJ Parker be able to develop some of the stuff that he wasn't doing at the Cowboys because it was one of the huge not the Cowboys at Clemson. Because one of the concerns I'm having for some of the Clemson players, I think they're going to start to fall, is because like why did the production fall the way that it did? And that they have to answer for that. And I think that's the reason why I'm having these players um, start to fall. They're going to be picked up eventually, but I'm having to fall right now. Now with the Bills, not the Bears, the Bears. So Bears pick 25. Here we go. Back-to-back outs runners scoring prediction is cold-blooded. Yes, it is very much. Falk to the Panthers. I wonder if there could be a hint of bias in the pick. Yes, but he could be there because GMs are scared of him becoming Shamar Stewart 2.0. I agree. Manuel. I do think, like I said, that him being a tweener is definitely a cause for concern. See, we got double play. Nope. But I think that I do have some, like I said, I have some bias because I love Coach Falk. But like I think just because of the fact that he's going to be a tweener, but if you have a coach that knows how to use them, for instance, like I said, Evero knows how to use tweeners because he used it before. I would love that for him because like I said, he's not forced to start right away. He can develop, and also the other reason why I'm saying he's not a Shamar Stewart 2.0 is because of the attitude. Again, I don't want to assume anything about Shamar Stewart, but the stuff that you basically have been showing so far, that is not Keldrick Falk. Keldrick Falk is the kind of guy that's a leader. He is the kind of guy that is a hard worker. And that was one of the concerns that you saw with Shamar Stewart. And again, part of this because of the Bengals being the Bengals and the kind of contract they had. But there was also some stuff that was like you saw during the season where it's like, this is not. That's a great jump. This is not great for. Oh, but yeah, like I said, what was the name? Yeah, like I said, I think that Keldrick Falk has a kind of personality to continue to develop. He's very, very young. Shamar Stewart was not. Um, so I think he's closer to the Michael Williams kind of phase of like being a young player who can ascend as well. He hasn't had injury concerns. He doesn't have like obviously his play strength can get better, but again he's basically 21 years old. So again he can develop even more. Um, and you have 5 years of roster control with him. So again I would love that. So Dobie, you actually stole right out of my mouth. I was gonna say K McDonald, but I was gonna go into a little bit deeper. Obviously, you could go edge here, but if I'm the Bears, my run defense was atrocious. So who am I going to get that is going to shore up this defensive line? That is going to be K McDonald again. Dobie basically just took the words right out of my mouth. If this is the way this shakes out, you're taking K McDonald, and you're happy. Again, if you can get a stud run defender, defensive tackle that nobody can run on. Hopefully, pairing that with Javon Dexter, pairing that with like some other players. You already have a great run defender with Montez Sweat, who has some pass rush ability. Hopefully, Austin Booker has his step up in his year 3. If that's the case, you have a pretty decent defensive line. So again, I think you paid a little bit too much for Falcons. Grady Jarrett, and you're kind of regretting it right now. But if you get K McDonald, you have a really great interior defensive line. So again, I love that for the Bears. Now for the Bills. Now here's a situation. Oh, here's the. I've had him the top 20 in both my mocks so far as done personally. Yeah, I think that because of his strength, and he's not going to give you anything pass rush wise. That's going to cause him to fall. But potentially, the same as the thing I talked about, Keldrick Faulk could potentially be the same as I think for the Panthers if they want to move on from By Brown the third. They could take a K McDonald to be the eventual replacement. So again, the same kind of thing because there's been a lot of Panthers fans who have been wanting K McDonald as well. But if he doesn't get picked up by the Panthers, but possibly a thing. Please let Avion Terrell fall to us. Pretend, please. Again, I don't think he's going to fall that far. He is going to be taken in the first round. I'll give you that. He's going to be taken in the first round. Not going to say where, but he could. I have McDonald going 24. And my second mock draft, Parker fell to me, and I placed McDonald 26 of the Bills. Again, that's what I'm saying. I think that if McDonald had fallen to the Bills, they would have taken him. But since he's there for the Bears, I'm taking him for the Bears because, again, I think that's a huge need for y'all just to fix your run defense. For the Bills, if it's not K McDonald, who could it possibly be? Because it was a whole bunch of wide receivers they were looking at. They were looking at Chris Bell. They were looking at Denzel Boston. They were never going to get Carnell Tate, but they traded for DJ Moore. So now we could look at okay, could we go edge rusher here? Potential. Potentially go Cassius Howell. Try to get you're moving to more of a 3-4. But you gave up a good bit of draft capital to try to get DJ Moore. And you need to hit on a lot of your draft picks to make sure that, hey, that a lot of your roster construction is putting a lot of money in certain positions. So you're kind of hoping and praying that like you can continue to have that. So let's look at here. Do I go for Peter Woods? I don't think so because you already have, like I said, your pocket pressure with Ed Oliver. I don't think you're on a double dip there. Do you feel for a Bills? Do you think that you could trade down and still potentially get Emmanuel McNeill-Warren? I think you can. So if I'm the Bills, I'm going to trade down. Heck, they trade down with us. What you guys able to get, and they got Keon Coleman. They traded down before also with the Chiefs. They've known to be trading down. So if I'm the Bills, I'm looking to trade down. But there's a particular team that I said that I normally pick them with a certain position I didn't. Because I said they could possibly trade back up. That's going to be the Cardinals. So the Cardinals have a good bit of picks. And the Bills, like I said, desperately need some more draft capital. Because let me show you right here. So, like I said, Arizona's got some more picks. They got, like I said, they got what it looks like 2 4th rounders. They got either 5th or 6th rounder, 7th rounder. They already had a first round pick and a second round pick. Um, the Bills need some more picks. Like I said, they go from 26 all the way down to 91. Oh, shoot! We got Gunnar Henderson got a home run. Let's freaking go, dude! I just missed that. Um, so here's a round pick. Hold up. I can be able to get 3 stud players instead of going from 26 all the way down to 91 and then all the way down to 126. I'm giving up 126 to be fair to the Cardinals. So the Cardinals can get they have 2 first round picks, and then they go 104, 126, 143. I think that's pretty decent. So again, I think this would be a fair trade. Oh, if we'll show. There we go. And it's a pretty fair trade. I mean, you see how, like I said, it's a little bit lopsided on one side, but again, I think it's a pretty fair trade because, like I said, Arizona will be trading up, so they have to give up a little bit more. And the Bills will definitely take this. If that was the case, Bills can be able to get, like I said, second, third, and then the Cardinals are not dropping out too far, but they've got their 2 guys, and they can still potentially trade back up into the third round if there's a player that they like. So again, Cardinals are here. They're taking a tackle, and I want to show you why I'm choosing this player because again, I think that it might confuse some people if they don't know right now my position ranking and how I think other people see this player. But I'm very high on this player, and initially I thought there could potentially be where the Panthers could take him at 19, but I don't think we're going to. Most people would say Caleb Lohman. Most people say like Caleb Lohman. Again, I think he's a great developmental left tackle who could also kick inside. But from the Cardinals, I need to have a stud right tackle that I know is going to be solid with 5 years of roster control. I'm taking Blake Miller. Again, some people might say it's a reach. I don't care. I love Blake Miller. I think he's a stud right tackle. I don't know why, but I'm having like the same kind of flashback I had to Roger Rosengarten from Washington when he came out, where I think Roger was a 2nd-round pick, and I remember you had him and Fatnow. So you had Fatnow, who was like the stud guy, and so everybody wanted Fatnow. I like Fatnow as well, but Roger was just a solid dude, like not going to be any like not flashy or anything like that, but like someone that I can depend on, kind of like how Taylor Moton is for us. And how Roger Rosengarten has been for the Ravens. So if I'm the Cardinals and I've already got Paris Johnson Jr., who's an amazing left tackle, and I can just get the guy who's going to be, I know for a fact is going to be solid. I'm trading up to get that. Again, in this kind of draft class, I'm trading to get that because, like I said, there's not a lot of certainties. So might be a little bit of an overpay, but again, you're still able to have the option of trading back up in the third if there's a guy that you like that starts falling down. You get 2 impact players for you right now to help out your rookie coach. I would like that. I would love that for if I was the Cardinals. Now, going on to the 49ers, another player that some people might have as an overdraft. I don't. I love this player. I think that a lot of other teams are starting to see how great he is. And I know exactly the role that I'm having for him. So, 49ers, sure, they can take offensive line. They're not going to. They never have, and they're never going to. But they lost Brian. They're going to lose Brandon Ayuk because he's not playing for them anymore. They already lost Jauan Jennings unless they bring him back, which right now is not showing they could possibly be not be the case. And basically, all Ryu is right now is Ricky Pearsall. So let me just instead of just talk about it, let me show you. Obviously, you also have the problem of not going to have George Kittle for quite some time because, like I said, he's coming off injury. But you have Tongs to basically be like that replacement for the time being. Christian McCaffrey was healthy last year. Hopefully, he stays healthy this year. So if I'm looking at who the 49ers should go after, who's going to fit in Kyle Shanahan's system if my thing will start working. Taking forever. Come on. There we go. I've got Mike Evans, Ricky Pearsall, Demarcus Robinson. Is that another home run? Let's freaking go! Home run Panthers for USA. Roman Anthony. Let's freaking go, dude. That was gone. All right. If I'm looking for a guy who can, and I don't necessarily a run after the catch kind of guy you can get into each one get into space, who's a vertical stretch kind of guy. And again, it might be a little bit of a reach, but I don't care. I like him better than Casey Conception. I like him better than Denzel Boston, if it will show. And as much as I like Chris Bell has come off injury. That's a little bit concerning. I think he's going to fall in the second round. I'm taking Omar Cooper Jr. Again, could it be a reach? Sure. Was Ricky Pearsall seen as a reach? Yeah, but he's also a stud. So again, you have a wide receiver group with Mike Evans, Omar Cooper Jr., and Ricky Pearsall, who's waiting for George Kittle to come back from injury, with Christian McCaffrey still being Christian McCaffrey. Hopefully he's going to stay healthy. That is an insane amount of weapons. Insane amount of weapons to still try to make sure that the 49ers are still on track to try to win the division. Because, again, you need all the help you can possibly get. Because, again, you're going against the Seahawks, you're going against the Rams. Two of the top teams in the NFC, not in the top teams in the NFC, in the NFL. So, again, you got to try to get the kind of guys that are going to impact right now. I think Omar Cooper Jr. can do that. So, again, is it a little bit of reach? Sure. But, again, I think he's going to be a stud in the NFL. If he falls to the second round, I'm Falcons, like I said, Emmanuel, y'all got to try to get him. Because, again, that would be amazing for y'all. I don't think you're going to be able to get him. But, again, that would be amazing. Texans are a sneaky team who could trade up. They have 2 second-round picks with their pick 28. They could potentially trade up. Right now, I've kind of done some of the figuring. If the Cowboys wanted to trade their 12th pick, the Texans could technically trade 28 and their second-round pick to try to go up to the Cowboys. So as far as like draft capital, it's about the same. So again, that could be happening. Or they could trade up to around where the Jets and the Lions are if they do their first-round pick and their second-round pick. So again, Texans potentially could trade up, try to get the right offensive lineman. But instead, they sit back, they relax. They know that, hey, there's going to be a run of tackles, but maybe we can still get the tackle prospect, offensive line prospect that we want. Again, you sign Braden Smith, you sign Trent Brown to be basically your right tackles, because I said eventually they're going to get hurt. You got Ursery, who's really good as a rookie. Made some great strides, like I said, second half of the season. So, that interior. You got Ed Ingram. You need a center, so you can draft a center later on with one of those second-round picks. I'm looking at Caleb Lohman. Again, a lot of people are going to see him as a left tackle. I think he could be. So that's an error right there. I think he could be, but I really, really like Caleb Lohman at left guard, pairing him with Ursery, and then later on in the second round, potentially, taking like a Caleb Lohman, taking like another center, whatever it might be. But again, I like that for the Texans. So taking Caleb Lohman, moving him inside. Like I said, he's athletic. He's an athletic kind of guy. So would love that. Would love that for the Texans. So moving on down to the number 29. Let me go check and see some of these chats before I move on. Let's go. Exactly. Bang from way downtown. Did I have anything else? No. I got everything else. All right. So we are at the last 4 picks. So Chiefs, like I said, you got your guy. You got your cornerback, Jamal McCoy. Now you need to get another impact guy. if I'm the Chiefs, I don't love the edge rushers that are here. I don't love the edge rushers that are here. Cassius Howell, not the kind of guy that Steve Spagnuolo wants. Um, you're looking a little bit further on down, like Zion Young, maybe that could potentially be kind of guy. Um, but instead of edge rusher, and I know that technically, like one of the top needs is for some reason offensive tackle. I don't think that's going to be the case because again, they basically have their left tackle of the future, and they also have their right tackle. So they signed Jalen Moore. Tight end, again, could they take a Sadiq here for like the future and be like the instead a guy who was seen as a top 10 pick last year. Same exact thing that happened with TJ Parker. Peter Woods is going to fall because of the fact that a lot of people are concerned about, hey, why in the world did this start to fall? Why did it start to fall the way that it did? From the Chiefs, and if you have to get an impactful guy like Peter Woods can be, and what I think that he could be, again, the arm is a little bit concerning, all that kind of stuff, but right now it is on your defensive line. It is just Chris Jones. You're hoping that Omar Norman Lott can also be a great addition. But again, Chris Jones is getting older as well. So if you're able to find his potential replacement in Peter Woods, I kind of think you take it. Again, it's BP at this point. It's BP at 29. The kind of guy falls. You could double dip and try to get Avion Terrell, but again, I think that new corner, or you like somebody's on the roster. So again, I take Peter Woods for best player available. And at this point, I mean, for the Broncos, it is best player available, and it's not even going to be even an option. It's going to be Kenyon Sadiq. Again, I think linebacker could be an option, but I don't think Jones is going to fall that far. Wide receiver, maybe. Like I said, you could take a Casey Conception, maybe. But in my opinion, it's Kenyon Sadiq. In my opinion, it's Kenyon Sadiq. Because, again, you're hoping to get you're hoping you're going to get that with Evan Ingram. You're hoping you're going to be able to get, someone you can move around, someone you can play your Joker role. But unfortunately, he hasn't really done that. And so if you have the perfect guy to play that role for way younger, why not do it right now with Kenyon Sadiq? If he falls to you, again, he could just go early. And there's some people who say the Panthers are going to take him at 19. I wouldn't really like it if that's the case, but it still could potentially happen. But if it's Kenyon Sadiq, that's amazing for the Broncos. They basically have great two tight end sets. Oh, that's a great throw. But again, it's an easy pick. Now for the Patriots. Now the Patriots go a lot of different directions. They're great. I'll pull up the depth chart. They're great at cornerback. So again, they're not going to try to take a guy like Avion Terrell. Even though Avion Terrell, like I said, could go higher. I could also see him start to fall because again, he is a smaller cornerback. Just one of the things I want to preface is that I don't hate Avion Terrell. I think I still have him as my cornerback 3. Though he plays a little bit different than like a Keith Abney, who I really, really like Keith Abney. But Patriots need wide receiver help, so they could go for wide receiver. But again, I think they could be in the A.J. Brown trade, and if they are, you're taking A.J. Brown. He's going to go over Matt Collins. You have A.J. Brown, Kayshon Boutte, and Romeo Doubs. That's a great wide receiver class. So again, why would you want to take a wide receiver in the first round? So I don't think they go wide receiver. Then tremendously. So let's look at the defense. You got your two studs interior. You go look at interior like Christian Ellis and Robert Spillane. Really great linebackers. They could go linebacker here, but again, do they go for Gay Jacob Rodriguez? I don't know if they go for at 31. That could be an option. But I'm looking more at an edge rusher, and right now they got Draymond Jones, Harold Landry, Braden Swinson. Not a dude that can get after the pass rusher, or not a dude that, in my opinion, can get after the pass rusher. So a guy that can get after the pass rusher is Cassius Howell. I understand the concern about his small arms. And it's not the same exact weight with Ruben Bain because Ruben Bain has the strength that Cassius Howell does not have. But Cassius Howell is a not the same as it with David Bailey, but he just wreaks havoc. Which is the reason why like I could see Cassius Howell potentially going to the Bucks if we had initially going to the Bucks, but he just wrecks havoc. So if I'm looking for a designated pass rusher, which I desperately need, because again, all I've got right now is Braden Whitson is basically my designated pass rusher. I don't really like that. I've got Draymond Jones and I got Harold Landry be decent run defenders, but they're not going to give me anything that kind of juice in pass rush. So again, if I want someone who's going to be able to just rush off the edge, force the quarterback to step up in the pocket, and then have my two guys on the interior, Barrymore and also Milt Williams, be able to wreak havoc, let me do that. So again, if Cassius Howell falls, that's the lowest I can see. But I don't think he's going to. But again, this is the farthest I can see him fall. I understand like there's some concern. Great catch by Aaron Judge. I know there's some concern with his arm length. I don't care if you're looking for a specific role for like a designated pass rusher. That's what he is. And again, you're not going to be concerned about arm length for a guy you pick at 31 that you have 5 years of contract. You basically have like a cheap for 5 years. Now for the Seahawks. Again, I've already done a lot of trading, and I don't know how many trades are going to be, but I do know that the Snake could be looking to recoup some picks. But who's going to trade up? And I'll say big if Ty Simpson is here, this is where I could see somebody trading up for Ty Simpson. Say it's the Browns, say it's the Steelers after the Steelers take somebody else to 21, they could trade back up because the Steelers have a lot of draft picks as well. That could be options there, but in this scenario, he's not. In this scenario, Ty Simpson's not here. So a type of player that I could see somebody trading up for is Avion Terrell. Again, I think he's going to go first round. In the way that it has mock draft go down, like the team needs wasn't necessarily for corner, or the kind of player that did fall down to them, they were like, all right, let's go in a different direction. Seahawks are not going to go for Avion Terrell, but who could potentially go? Let's see here. I said Steelers. I said Browns. Let's do another AFC North team. And again, would be not necessarily what they do, but desperate times calls for desperate measures. And if you're the Bengals, who, fix their offensive line with Spencer Fino pick, you invested in defensive line, your quarterback room is atrocious. So, I'm trading up the pick because they shown interest in Avion Terrell. And the only reason why you're showing interest in Avion Terrell is because you think like he is, like I said, going to drop down because Avion Terrell is not a top 10 pick. So in this scenario, I have Cincinnati, who again, they're pick 41. So it's a 9-pick difference. That's still a pretty decent difference. So Cincinnati's got to give up a little bit. If you're looking at Seattle, they only have 4 picks. That's the reason I'm saying that Seattle is a trade down scenario because, again, they need more picks. They have only 32, 64, 96, and then 188. So, again, they got to trade down. So, 41, 32. Got to go up 9 spots. I can't give up my 72. If I'm the Bengals, I can't give up my 72. So, I got to look in a different direction. I'm like, all right. I get my 3rd round pick. Oh, great play. Bobby Witt keeps it in front of him. I'm not going 72. 110. So I'm going to go 4th round pick. Gets me a little bit closer. But I started to add a little bit more. Add a little bit more to make sure I can get up there. So again, it is giving up a lot of picks. But again, you're the Bengals who desperately need to improve their team. You didn't go deep into the 1st round pick because you want to make sure you fix the offensive line to keep Joe Burrow healthy. So you give a little more picks, you give a 4th, you give a 5th, and your 2nd just to go up and get that 5th-year option with the great cover corner. Again, I don't like his run stopping ability, but I need a great cover corner. Avion Terrell is that dude. Seahawks turn 1 pick into 3, and they're not moving down that far. I like that trade for both moves. For both teams, it's about even. I love that pick. I love that for both teams. Bengals have 2 first-round picks, and they're going to take Avion Terrell. Again, in this scenario, Ty Simpson's not there. If Ty Simpson's there, it's another team that trades up. Because I think that somebody's going to trade up for Ty Simpson. Regardless of what your feeling on him is, I think he's going to be a first-round pick. He wouldn't leave if he didn't know he'd be first round or top of the second round. But Avion Terrell to the Bengals is an amazing pick. Double play? Double play? Oh, man. We could have had double play. But again, that is my mock draft. Yeah, what pick 43? So Falcons could be it. I just picked the Bengals because, like I said, I think the Bengals are. I don't know. Is that going to be counted as out or not? They are. They're counted as out. Okay. Um, but yeah, like I said, they could do it, but in my opinion, I don't think they will. I think they're going to stay put. Um, Not go for the nostalgia, try to get Avion Terrell. Not nostalgia, but trying to get like the pair the brothers up. Even though you do need another corner, but I think they're going to stay pat and be. I don't want to say conservative, but I do want to say that you don't have that much draft capital, and you want to just try to get as much as you possibly can at this point. At this point, if you're the Falcons, you want to get as much as you possibly can do. So we're coming up about 2 hours. I think it took longer than the last one. But yeah, that's my mock draft 2.0. Um, Obviously, I would love to hear what your opinions are for what you think your team is doing. Some of you might agree, some of you might not. Um, I want to wait till this. Hopefully, this is Paul Skeens good strikeout here. Um, but I really do hope that every team makes smart decision because again, there's gonna be some surprises, and so I know my mock drafts are gonna be wrong. There's gonna be somebody who does something like not dumb, but like no, there's gonna be somebody who does something dumb. But mock drafts are just me basically just seeing what's my opinion of this team, what I think are their most desperate needs, looking at contracts and like who's like going off. Like I said, that's the reason why I'll talk about the Panthers and I'll talk about that more so on Wednesday. I'll have a video going out because hopefully by that time some of the other contract stuff. Oh, he hit him. Some of the other contract stuff is going to come out, but totally I'm making our longer talking about the Titans and their uniforms. Oh no, it's fine. Like I said, because we talked about that, and we talk about a little bit of the baseball game too that's coming on. But what was Sam? Oh yeah, so like on Wednesday I'll have a Panthers video coming out. I'll talk about it a little bit right now. The main reason why I've been waiting is because I wanted to make sure that I had the cap numbers for some of the contracts because I kind of want to talk about the future because what Brent Tillis and Dan Morgan are looking to the future is going to determine who we draft. Because, like I said, we are best player available right now. We're best player available. So, by that metric, if we're best player available, then we're also going to look at okay, in the scenario that I talked about with cutting both Tershawn Wharton and also by Brown the third next year to save us some cap. They did that for A'Shawn Robinson this year, so again, they need kind of guy to replace what A'Shawn Robinson was. So again, you could either do that with like a Caleb Banks, Peter Woods, or and like I said, or do more of a tweener kind of vibe instead. Um, but I just I'm waiting for the cap because again the cap numbers already came up for Jalen Phillips contract, which is amazing. When the deal happened, I was trying to tell a lot of people like, hey, no, it's not what you think it is because again, people just kept looking at the 4 million, a 4 year, 120 million. instead of looking at the 80 million guaranteed. I love the way we did it, and I'll talk about it more so as well. But what I thought was the way that it was handled is very much true. At the very end of his deal, after year three, we can cut Jalen Phillips if, keywords if he doesn't live up to the contract. If he doesn't live up to the contract within the first 2 years, then we can just keep him for the third year and then cut him and save close to 20 million on his fourth year. But if he does amazing for us in the first year and we want to kind of rework the contract a little bit, we can restructure his deal and the second year of his contract and then save 20 million there. So again, if we want to, like, let's just say, like, for scenario, because I did a scenario already. If we want to restructure Jalen Phillips' deal for next year, like he balls out this year, his cap number is only like less than 10 mil. If he balls it this year, we restructure next year. Oh my gosh, it's popped up. Let's freaking go! Thank the Lord. That was kind of scary. But if we restructure Jalen Phillips' deal, so we free up 20 mil, and then we also cut Turk and also Bobby Brown to release another 20 mil. That's 40 million that we are not paying this year to be able to pay for 2027. Where, like I say, we don't have that many people to pay in 2027. We have Ike Mekwanu for sure, or if they decide for some reason they want to go Rasheed Walker instead, I don't know. If they think Rasheed Walker is going to be cheaper, because again, you don't want to spend that much money on tackles. Jalen Coker, but have to pay Bryce just then, but we could. So we could also put a lot of money into paying Bryce and then basically just being like able to construct it in a way where the majority of the money is early on, works out. If he doesn't work out, then like I said, we can cut him up to the year three. But I don't know. I was talking about it more so on Wednesday. Like I said, I'll have a video coming out then. I'm hoping the numbers for the Devin Lloyd contract will be coming out soon. Because right now we don't have the Devin Lloyd, don't have Rasheed Walker, don't have, it's Devin Lloyd, Rasheed Walker, two more that's not on there. Nick's on spot track just yet. Or no, just the cap hit. I can't think of the top of my head. But again, I'm waiting on those contracts so we can actually be able to see a little bit. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. Like I said, I'll be doing this one more time 1 week before the draft. I'll obviously be streaming the first 2 days of the draft. I'll be there with Luke. Oh, by the way, if you would like to, you can watch Luke's content, Fourth Down Blitz. He has 2 great videos up. One about defense winning championships that helped with research. He talked about the 2015 Broncos. That was a rough one to help out with, but he knew that I knew about the 2015 Denver Broncos defense that I could give him some more information on, some more context on. And so I helped him out with that video. That was he did great on that one. I think it's over. I know for sure over, like last time I checked, over 2,000 views. Like I said, he did an amazing job on that one. And they also did a video about C.J. Stroud. It's also a great video. So again, if you want to watch that, Fourth Down Blitz, I implore you to watch his stuff. He does great stuff. And so yeah. But yeah, I'll see y'all later. See you in the next one. Hopefully USA pulls